you can have a contract that's dealing with transporting items, but if you're transporting items that's also attached to documents that have that discusses classified material, you know
Yes.
now this is more than just being debarred from contracting or contracts. Now somebody's looking at prison time, because we know how our government is. You don't necessarily had been doing something, I don't know, that's considered
Malicious.
a crime per se, but the fact that you have access to information that they don't want you having.
And the people that have been following my channel, I did the series about the botched FEMA contract. I did 3 videos on that. And ignorance is not an excuse. You can't say,
Mm-mm.
well, I ain't know, or this person was supposed to help me and they didn't.
Yep.
They don't give a damn. I've been told specifically by a contracting officer, I don't give a damn about your sub. I was like, you cussing me out via email? Like, can I tell somebody about me? They were like, I don't give a damn.
Sheena, if them people have been in the government more than 5 or 10 years, they can say whatever they want.
Period. And I just
It's
was
it's it's
unbelievable.
it's, like an act of Congress to fire them, so that they don't trust me. If they feel like you
Yes.
throwing them, if they feel like you got them against the ropes, oh, you're gonna be every cuss word in the world.
And I was fighting for my life. So I was like, put my sub. I was using everything, all the stuff. They did not care. So
Yeah.
that's like, this is real life stuff. This is stuff he's seen on his side, this stuff I've seen on my side as a contractor. And I'm telling you, like, once everything is cute until money is involved. And then you got a sub, even if things are good for a while, it may not be good for forever. I've had to like let go several of my subs because they went rogue. I mean, they have life
Mm-hmm.
stuff that happens, and then now we're not friends no more. And now it's
Yep.
like, oh my goodness, you threatening my life over something I can't even control. So you just never
Yep.
know how that goes. And when people are just jumping into business, especially the stuff that you guys don't understand and don't know, and it's
Yep.
a contract that's underwater welding, and you're like, yeah, I can do that. It's just a contract. These people on the internet are telling me that I just got to find someone that can do it. Do that to a point. You got to step in and find someone else. There's probably only one person that can do underwater welding. So where's the next
Yep.
person going to come? You're not doing it. So there's so many things that happen with that you have to make sure that you're paying attention to when you're bidding
Yep.
on something that you can understand, that makes sense. And the more money it is, everybody want to make the millies. And the more
Yep.
money it is, the more headache it's going to be. Believe that.
Yep.
Believe. More to
Yep.
lose.
Yeah. Them folks don't play around with that stuff.
At all. So we have a fresh progress beauty. I'm a researcher who does projects for the Gartner, Deloitte, Lockheed Martin, and the big boys
Ah.
are doing this every day. That's a fact. I mean, and they don't
Yep.
care. They got billions and billions and billions, and they got so many contracts. So
They don't
messing
care.
up your little business is nothing to them.
That's nothing.
Please
They
believe
don't care. They don't
that.
care.
Please believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes, we talked a little bit about who's held accountable. So are there any, especially with being on the city side, here in Georgia, there's a couple of counties where they work directly with the sub. Like, let's say for me, I'm the prime, I hire a sub, and that particular county will sometimes work with us individually, even though that person is my sub. Have you seen where, they hold the sub completely accountable ever?
Never. Never. Never.
Damn.
The more they'll do, they might, if they see something being done wrong on the site or within a project, they'll get pissed off, quietly get pissed
Mm,
off. They might come and throw a couple sarcastic or facetious comments at the
mm.
sub. But guess what? When that sub, by the time that sub turns around, there's gonna already be 10 emails that then hit that prime.
Yeah. Yeah. So just know, again, it doesn't matter if your sub bails out on you. I had a lady call me crying one time. It was a laundry contract, and the sub disappeared off the face of this earth. She doesn't know if they allowed to this day. And and it was in a different state than where she resided, pretty far across the country.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that the contracting officer, good thing she had a relationship with the contracting officer, because he was like, get your ASS here now. There's nobody
Mm-hmm.
here doing the laundry. And she had to get on a plane, moments notice, little kids and everything, and go and save that contract. And that's only
Yep.
because the contracting officer cared to even say it. A lot of contracting officers are not located even in the same location. They in Alaska somewhere. They don't care. It's like, do what you
Yep.
said you're gonna do, right?
Yep.
So another question I have is, when it comes to the proposals, right? Let's just say it's a regular proposal, everything's gone through the correct thing. What are the
Hmm.
first three things you look at?
Ooh, there's a couple things. I will say this. First off, can you do this? Can you do this? And the key word is you, as in your business. Not, in other words, not you being, and I'm gonna say this, this is very important. Not you being the chief liaison who just stitched together a bunch of pieces like a sophisticated hustler,
Mm,
which I talk about. Look, I talk about. GovCon Empire Channel has a recent video called the Houston. It's called the Houston Hustler Story. Here's why I say that. Because look, I'm in the Houston area. I call this the home of the sophisticated hustler. And let me explain when let me tell you why. Because there are a lot of people, look, Houston is clout chaser city. Um, and so people are gonna do whatever they need to do to sound good enough to win people over. So what'll happen is this: they'll show up they'll show up saying, "Yeah, I have a construction company that
mm,
does demolition, asbestos, and abatement," right? But really, you just have a license, you have a certification, but you got about 20 people who are in different places. None of them know each other. None of them have probably ever worked together. And you're gonna pull all these pieces together to come across like you have a company. Now look, I know some
mm,
people look, I get it, y'all. You got to start somewhere, right? I'm not knocking. This is not for me to dehumanize anyone or to shame anyone for having a starting place. We all need a starting place. I get that, right? But but what happens is people they do it to such an extreme where they totally misrepresent themselves,
mm,
right? So you want to make sure that you're not misrepresenting yourself, and it's at the point now the scrutiny is so high. Just to take this back to answering that first question Sheena asked, what's the first thing we look for? Can you actually do this? And there are a lot of things in your proposal that are telling. And when I say
mm.
things in your proposal, I'm talking about based on what you say and based on what you don't say. For example, your org chart. A lot of people they don't think about the importance of an org chart, and we're not going to tell you because we
Ah,
want to because we call this common business sense.
so org chart is mandatory. Basically, you need to always have that.
Hmm. And
Wow.
so so if this contract involves let's say this contract involves the statement of work involves 20 different deliverables that covers 20 different sectors of how that work is done. And you're talking about how you and three other people is going to cover that. That's a red flag because
It's so
because
simple, but it's
because
just
that
like,
because if we, let's say for example, and we had a contract like this, let's say if we want you to come, we need you to stand up. So in a VA, right, the VA hospital system has what's called CBOCs, community-based outreach clinics. Every large city and metro area has a bunch of community-based outreach clinics. Let's say the Houston area where I'm at, right? We got at least, I don't know, about 40 something suburbs here. So
mm-hmm.
no matter which part of the metropolitan area you're in, there has to be one that prevents you from having to drive all the way to downtown Houston or medical center, which is the medical downtown outside of the main downtown. Now,
Yeah.
um, here's the thing with each of those CBOCs, we need basically a spinoff of all of the major medical services that you would find in a VA hospital.
Got
You know
it.
what I mean? So no, we're not going to have all the sub clinics and extra admin sections and all of that stuff. But for the most part, you're going to have your primary care, you're going to have your cardiology, you're going to have your anesthesiology, you're going to have your neurology, so on and so forth, right?
Mhm.
Well, if you can't be the neurologist talking about you're also doing heart surgery and foot surgery. Wait a minute. If I want foot surgery, I'm going to a damn podiatrist, not a person who's supposed to be a neurologist. If I want heart surgery, I'm going to a cardiologist. So if this contract requires you to activate a new CBOC and run it, but you got three different specialty doctors, but it requires seven different specialty areas. We already know that's a red flag.
So if I'm able to put together a joint venture with podiatry LLC, neurology LLC, and da 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 da, and I submit, well, even if it's a teaming, so I guess we can even talk about teaming versus joint venture, right? Because joint venture is let's not say joint venture, because joint venture is a whole baby, and you guys already decided that way before. But let's just say teaming, right? Because it's too late. It's already out. It's already out in the streets. We ain't got time to do a JV, a joint venture. So if I have a teaming agreement with all these different doctors, would you look at the teaming agreement like, okay, well, at least or does it look the same way as a subprime type of relationship?
Oh, no. That's good. The teaming agreement is good.
Okay.
Teaming agreement is good, as long as there are provisions that hold everyone in there responsible for for example, as long as it specifically talks about who is going to be doing what. Now, when I say who's going to be doing what, the only what's that we care about are the bullet points that's outlined in a statement of work.
Got it. Okay. That
Um,
makes sense.
So all of the extra little side administrative things, you can outsource that however you want. But the main stuff that's in that statement of work. Now here's something I want y'all to get from this. Earlier in the conversation, Sheena, you talked about how intimidating those long solicitations can look to them. You know, we already know why it looks that long. It's because most of it is what we call standard language. These
Yeah.
are the things. So let's a lot of the fluff. So let's say, and this is something that's going to help you all, the people listening, what I'm about to say, this is going to help you all be more comfortable with sam.gov and reading through solicitations. Right? So that main solicitation might have 80 pages. But believe it or not, most of what you need to understand what needs to be done is in one or two pages.
Yep, I talk about that all the time. What is it, section
Yep. So you
L?
know that. Yep. So yep. And if it's in most cases, it's going to say it's going to be in that section that says specific requirements, a statement of work, all that.
PWS, performance work
It's
statement.
performance work statement, right? Unless it is for commercial real estate, and then those are all done the same. Your request for lease proposal, it's going to say it's going to say there's going to be a section in all of those that says specific requirements
Gotcha.
that talks about what they need for that building. That's an RLP, that's request for lease proposal. That's just a type of RFP. Yeah.
Yeah, I've participated in a couple of those.
Oh yeah.
I won't talk about them yet because they're still pending. If y'all got some questions, make sure you ask, because this is super gold. I feel like we could talk all day. So, but
yes.
I know you got stuff to do, but we still got another hour to get some of these questions out. But make sure you all ask your questions, because he's here. He's here to help. So, as far as the proposals, and this might be even like a moot point, but the design. I know some people spend money on like the margins being green and all these the pretty cover letter, pretty cover page. Like, does design matter?
It matters. I'll tell you this. It matters when it matters. Most of the time, it matters because it should. If you're somebody who actually will take the time out and and put this thing together to where it's a nice, clean design, shows organization, discipline, and respect for the time of the person that's reading it. It also says a lot about execution, what your execution would be. Now, here's when it does not matter
Okay.
as much.
Okay.
When this agency has an immediate need, we just and how do you know? When you've spent time studying the agency. um a lot of these agencies have portals outside of sam.gov just so that you can know what's coming. so that
Yeah.
you can understand the agency better. They do that to give you a little hint, not for you to think that you have a whole nother avenue outside of SAM.gov, because they're really serious about streamlining everything. It's almost there, but they're really serious about that push. But that being said,
Mm.
when an agent, if it's like a really urgent need, then they just want the meat and the potatoes. They want it in a clean, organized format. But most of the time, if I would say this, if you have the extra time to make sure that you get that proposal in weeks in advance and you're able to put all of that extra energy into the design, yeah, go for it. Go for it. But I think it's one of those things that says a lot about how you do work.
Because I'm thinking like, and you hit on a point. I'm going to get to some of the questions in a second, but you hit on a point about submitting it early. Like I always tell people, submit it the day of, not the day before, because of course we've seen addendums come out. I've seen addendums come out after it was due, which of course there's no way you can prepare for that. But at
Yep.
least if it's the same day, addendums come out so late. So from your lens, what's the best time for you to receive it? Because I'm just putting this out there that if it's something where a lot of people are competing, you're probably getting them all at the same time. So if someone was submitted a day early, you like, hell yeah, that's great. I'd rather that. And then I got more time to review it than the 10 people that are submitting the day of. Like, what's your thought about that?
Ooh, I'll tell you this.
He's like, Lord, don't take me back.
I know, right? Yeah, I know. We really did appreciate the people who would who would send them in early. You know what I mean? Because
Wow.
we did only because it helps us organize where stuff is in terms of which companies. But here's the thing: we can't really start evaluating until after the due date anyway. We
You
can't
didn't look at
evaluate
them.
nothing.
You didn't peek through some of those and just get make some notes. Come on.
I probably had my times where I did. And here's the thing.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. We can't do anything that would influence evaluation until after the date. You
Mm,
know, you know,
I know.
but I have seen people look. I don't work for the agency no more, so I can say it. I
Good.
look, and I won't be working for any. I don't. I have no intentions on going back to any of the agencies. So yeah, they can't get. They'd have to buy me out of my VA pension, my Army pension, and everything to get me to come back. So
I heard that. Look,
yeah,
sometimes the chapter is closed. Sometimes the chapter is
look,
closed.
man, look. When you go and get a $500,000 house and you learn how to live in that thing without needing them,
Ooh. Yes. That's when you made it.
how to be comfortable in your beautiful suburban home without and not needing them. It takes a
Amen.
lot for them to buy you out of your comfort. So yeah,
Especially
so
right
so
now. A little tricky right
uh-huh.
now. So it's a little tricky right now. So I probably wouldn't even want to be bought back either. So I totally understand that.
No, oh no.
At
Oh,
all.
and that made me think about something else. But I'm gonna wait. I gotta follow your lead though. Because when you say this a little tricky right now, I know a lot of people are probably worried about is the government going to shut down again, and I'm gonna tell it. But if that, if I could do a quick sidebar, I'll get off of it.
Please. Yeah.
If I want people to know if the government does shut down, that's when should be running to the government even more. You know why that is? Because the people who stay in position, they have to remember a shutdown is not the government quitting. That's that's senators fighting so that when things are repositioned, the people who stayed and who are already prepared, you kind of have first mover advantage.
So let's be practical for a second, right? Of
Mm-hmm.
course, I was in it during multiple shutdowns. So,
Mm-hmm.
of course, this is the most significant one that just passed. But most of the time, people are reaching out to, even if they had a contract. Like there's some people who lost contracts, and some people was just just kind of paused, or some people wasn't affected at all, right? So if the government shuts down and I'm getting into this thing, those people are not there. They may come back, but now they got 50, 11 emails like waiting for them when they get back, right? Because most of them are just, some people still work and most people don't. So practically, what's the best way to approach either during the shutdown or right before, right after? Like, how do I approach you? And you got hundreds of thousands of emails to sift through.
Well, here's why. Here, I'll say it like this. I'll say it this way. There's a lot of people who just stop off. There's a lot of people who think that their dreams are, because they're not educated on how government works. They think that their dreams are shattered forever when the government shuts down, and they get intimidated, and they never come back to the GovCon world.
That's a
Not
fact.
Yeah, they never come back, not realizing that they're now leaving some of their food on the table for the people who said, "Wait, I'm gonna wait this out, man." So
Okay. So waiting, you're saying like don't leave,
don't
and then
leave,
okay, you just
because
pretend
even though there's a lot of emails, because this happened when I was working for FEMA and for the VA. What? Here's the reason why it doesn't matter, because we have our ways. We still have our ways to filter through the emails. First and foremost, um, a lot of those emails that come through don't even sound like people who really should be working with the government. So if you're that person who understands how to communicate in that memo format, or how to speak in governmental ease, you
government,
know,
yeah.
yours the only one that's gonna stick anyway. You know what I mean?
So
Yours the
still
only
send
one.
the email. Still,
Still send them, and then if you look good, if your stuff that you're sending look good, you have to remember there were some people who were up for award, and they quit when the government shut down, because they don't even know they were about to be, they don't even know they quit while the procurement team was generating a notice to proceed, or notice of intent to award.
yeah, that sucks because they're
You
just
know,
thinking that it's over, but it's
yep,
maybe
and
paused or delayed.
yep, and when the government gets back running, it's now more urgent.
Mm.
So the people who stayed in the queue, you're gonna get not only what not if you look good, not only are you gonna get what's for you, but whoever does what you do in a similar way that you do it. And whoever does what you do, let's say someone does what you do. I mean, excuse me, let's say the government needs what you do, but they also need something similar to what you do. They're going to be looking for you to give a suggestion of
The
who
other
of,
thing for the
of other
secondary.
things, of maybe a partnering organization that you know. Hint, that's the way to get your friends in there, right? Just if we could just come out and say it, or that you get to control, you'll get that much more power over who the sub should be. Because a lot of folks don't know, you know this, or I'm sure they know this if they've been following you, but you don't always get to choose your sub.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's something that is a little, because we're mostly local, but
Yep.
that is definitely something that I have come across where I'm like, who the hell? Okay, fine, we're here
Yep.
now.
Yep.
Work this out. Let's try to get together and make this marriage work. I'm gonna go to
Yep.
some of these questions a little bit, and then we can get back to our questions. So, a fresh progress beauty said, any advice building relational capital with RFP project officer? I noticed proposals goes to people already rubbing shoulders. I'm not sure. Oh, maybe she reset it. She restated it. Any advice for, she said designing proposals would have been the best proposals that you've seen. He did address that. But going back to this question about relational capital, meaning giving the contracts to your friend. So we know that happens, right? And I'll give my little spill, and then you give your spill about your take on it. But there's people, especially on the local side. I always tell people that you might have went to high school with someone who's now the principal of a school. They make the decision that you do all the facilities management for that school, like point blank period, as long as you're qualified. So I think they're asking, like she's seeing that people are getting contracts based on who they know. Now I know that that's not always true, but any take on that, as long as you stay compliant, right?
Yep. You know what I would do if she feels like that's happening. If you feel like that's happening, this comes back to the earlier in the beginning of the conversation. you can, a lot of times you can supersede those people. You can supersede some of those friendships just by going to the top. Because see, here's the thing, at the end of the day, even though those project managers have a lot of influence over who get it, at the end of the day, the contracting team, the purchasing team, the procurement team, once again, our underwriters, they're still the ones who actually authorize and actually control the award. So, that being said, if you go directly to that team unsolicited, letting them know that you've identified their major pain points, right? So, let's say, for example, right? Um, let's say if this agency does something that has a profound impact on infrastructure,
Mm,
right? As most agencies do. When you think about government agencies, think about the regulators over the regulators of over the various sectors of infrastructure. That's all the government is. And that's all government contracts is just creating procurement pipelines to keep infrastructure moving.
true.
That's all. That's all it is. So if you can go to that agency, right? Um, you can find out who one of the top network contracting officers is in that agency, as well as one of the people in the chief of staff office. Now you're going above that level, and just you want to say that you've identified some major pain points in that agency that's literally impacting infrastructure.
You better
Now,
say
now
those
you're
words.
now you're speaking executive like level language. That you now have something to cause the executive team to come and put pressure on the people who you feel is giving contracts directing contracts to their friends. Because at this point now, most of the time, see, their friends are so lazy, they're not going to think at this level. Like
Mm,
the stuff that Sheena and I are saying on this call, they're not going to think at this level. Using words like infrastructural impact. No one, most people don't think to use that terminology, but that's executive level language. That language can literally penetrate. It can penetrate emails that will run throughout the whole agency, and that'll cause executives to come all the way down, as we say, crap rolls downhill, and say, "Hey, look, I know you guys have vendors that's been doing this, but we have somebody who reached out to us that talked about certain aspects of that's still not getting done in a way that's helping infrastructural things that people on the outside of the agency are noticing. But somebody sent us an email saying that they noticed it and they have a solution. So that's one of those. That will move that friendship thing out of the way.
mm. So,
Why? Because these people at the top, they're trying to be politicians and stuff. So
mm,
if somebody comes at them talking about infrastructure and the procurement pipeline and things like that, you're talking at that level, and they can bring in a vendor who's thinking at that level. That's helping them get to senior executive service level.
okay, because what I was going to ask was about protests, but we're not even talking about a contract that went out and it's still in decision. We're talking about,
Correct.
right, the contract already existing right now, and the person's like, "What the hell? It's been 25 years. Like, why is this person
Yep.
still in here?" So, okay, when it comes to like a new contract protest, essentially, but if it's something already going on, that's when you use that language of you're impacting infrastructure. So
I
that's
would say,
that.
oh, in general, and I was thinking that she was saying maybe in general because maybe
And
that's the
I think that's what she was talking about, and that was
yeah
good. I'm glad you highlighted that because I didn't even fully understand that.
because what she can say, but one thing, and if she's still out there listening, one thing that she can say, for example, is look, I noticed that there's certain vendors that have been, that are frequently, that you guys are frequently using,
Mm.
but we're noticing that, hey, look, this is having an infrastructure impact. So maybe you're letting the agency know going forward, they don't have to deal with these gaps and holes that they still been dealing with, despite the money they're spending with the current vendors.
I love this. It's almost like Undercover Boss, where it's
Yeah, and
like,
so
hey,
so
there's
it's
holes in the organization, and here's
yeah,
how we can help.
because they have to. One thing they got to remember: the FAR, you got FARs, you got CFRs, you got United States Code. They
Mhm.
have. There's all. If they feel, even if a contract is out there, even if there's a 10-year award that's going on or contract, right? If that agency has reason to believe that 4 or 5 years into this contract, the agency is still not getting what it needs,
Mm.
you have to remember that the ability for that agency to function is going to always override the actual contract that's in place. Yes, a contract is a contract, unless but a contract becomes a breach, not necessarily a breach. It's a certain word I'm looking for.
Like a
Um,
hazard or hindrance or
correct,
yeah.
or it become it no longer becomes something that has to remain solidified if the agency realizes that, hey, yeah, we awarded them this 10-year contract, but the agency is suffering as a result of certain unknowns that we didn't see with this vendor in the beginning.
Mhm.
So the agency has to function. The agency is not going to sit back and say, well, they got the contract, so we got to just let the agency fall apart for another 5 more years. That's not happening.
Okay, so you can even come and infiltrate. I like that. Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Let's see
And
the part.
and but when you come, you
Mhm.
want to there's a few things, a few weapons you want to come with.
Y'all
You
listen
want to
up.
come with you want to
Listen.
come comply you want to come talking about how you studied the agency and how you studied the most important aspects of their compliance metrics. It's so important to understand how powerful those words are, because these are the words that keeps them out of water with IG, with the
Mm.
Government Accountability Office.
Yeah, which I didn't know how powerful they were until recently. That's a whole other thing that we can get into. I want
Yeah,
to
GAO.
GAO, that I've heard people say, if you just reach out to them and CC them or whatever, then that'll get all your questions answered. But let me get to a couple of things here before I have several questions, even outside of our questions, that I need to ask you. So huge shout out to Tia5364. Thank you so much for the super chat. And is it Yolanda Johnson Joshua? Good grief. Thank you so much. Over here spending, they spending on you. They doing this with the gems that you dropping. I love it, love it. This is really important because, like, we can talk about the overall of contracting, and here's how you get this, here's how you get that. But then there's some of us that are like, I really need to know some of these specific details, or they're in the process of scaling, or some of these other things that, like the young lady said that she's noticing. And then, well, now I got the ammo. That might be your first contract, but you're able to go in there with the specific tools that you just gave, and now you're doing government contracting. You didn't even necessarily have to bid. You're out here getting in a different way. So I love that. So let me go back to a couple of these questions, and we can go way far back. Okay. So, is this the one? How is the T administration affecting proposals? What are current federal priorities? Does that question make sense? T?
Yeah, so I see the first part of it. How is the Trump administration affecting
Oh,
proposals? Right?
thank
Yeah, some people don't like saying that word. So
you. Really?
yeah, I caught that fast. So
I see. I'm like, what?
yeah.
What is that? Okay.
So
Got it.
so well, the FAR overhaul.
Mm-hmm.
That's an initiative. Just so everybody knows, the FAR overhaul. All that is they're wanting the acquisition process. The acquisition process is the process by which we publish solicitations, to get what we need from people like y'all, the vendors, right? But they're moving past a lot of the fluff language to use more direct everyday language so that they can move things faster. Eric Coffey even mentioned it several times right now. Speed is now becoming the priority now. So one of the ways it's been affected is speed. So what that literally means is, is that, it's no more unnecessary, unnecessary spread out timelines, or let's say you reaching out to the agency with your proposal, and the agency going quiet for weeks at a time. Those days are over.
Now, or they?
Now
Oh,
it's immediate. It's immediate. It started,
okay.
and it started with Department of Defense, but now all of the other agencies are following suit because, as you know, Sheena, DoD typically sets the tone for how all of the other million government agencies operate. You know,
Right,
so it
right.
started off with DoD. I was like, okay, let's see. Me and some of my friends, we actually bet how long it was going to take for all of the other agencies to get in line like little soldiers, like they always do.
Yes.
DoD does something. Now Department of Commerce is doing it. Department of Interior is doing it. Department of Agriculture is doing it. All of the other agencies, Department of Energy, NOAA, and everybody else is doing it. So, by the way, NOAA, y'all, that's the National Oceanic and Atmospheric
I had a
Administration.
contract with them. That was my first federal contract.
You got in with them?
I did. And look, that's the
Wow,
ones
that's
that
good.
booted me out. That's the ones
Oh,
that sent me 50,000 notes about the stuff that I didn't even know was going on. It wasn't my fault. It was COVID. It wasn't my fault. It was COVID.
yeah.
They were
Well,
great. Like the contracting officer ended up retiring, but I did call her and we had a real conversation with her because I was like, I just want to stay and I want other stuff. And she's like, I'm retiring in 6 months. So nice conversation, but peace out. So it was, but
yeah.
it was a decent situation.
Yeah.
So they were good. Okay, so appreciate that question, and we're gonna go to. You have
You
more?
know what? I didn't answer the second part of the question. She said, "What
Okay.
is current federal priorities?"
Yes.
Well, remember, logistics and supply chain. That's always going to be a priority. That as the government makes all of these shifts, that's going to always continue to ramp up. So logistics and supply chain, right? But main priority right now is going to be is going to be tech. Of course, of course, look, landscaping and janitorial, all that's always going to be priority. That's
Construction and
always going to
tech.
be the fastest ones. But architecture and engineering, that's a priority.
Yeah.
That's a priority. But of course, tech, anybody who can do AI, cybersecurity, those are priorities. And a very unexpected one, um, homeless veterans. That's more than $5 billion out for that right now. Here's why. Here's why. Here's how rather. So everybody knows friends with veteran houses, right? Hey, I know this person who's got a 5-bedroom house. That's more grant oriented. But for people who decide to house homeless veterans and then scale it, there's what's called VA adoption. And that's when you have a community you have a community. Let's say you have 10 duplexes that you want to use. You can now get that SSVF designated supportive services for veterans and families. That's and actually do an unsolicited proposal to actually get a VA contract.
Wait
So
a minute.
that your whole so your whole now your whole facility, your whole project, your whole program is now adopted into the VA's procurement pipeline. Especially if you're service disabled veteran owned, you obviously go to the front of the line. You know, right now, and what's another thing about current priorities, service disabled veteran owned small businesses.
Because
They're
they're increasing the
Yep.
percentage, right? Yeah.
Yep, they're and right now, so they're the top dog right now. Not 8A. The
Yeah.
service disabled veteran owned small businesses, they're ranked above 8A and everybody else right now in contracting.
Do y'all hear that? Everybody want to get 8A. And I want to ask something about the GSA schedule after, but I'm going to get into the questions because that's a personal question. I don't care how long we on this call because I need to know about
Yep.
that. So we have, I think I think I can media network. Can you elaborate on how important being responsive to emails regarding contract submissions are, and how a quick response time can influence award contract an awarded contract to your company if handled correctly?
Um, so let's break this down. That's like
You
a
kind of
two or
touched
three
on it
part
at the
question.
beginning. Yeah.
Yep. So can you let's see, can you elaborate on how important being responsive to emails regarding contract admissions are? Let me stop there. Um, I'll tell you this. It's very important. I'm gonna be honest with you. So in my company, I'm gonna just go there. I was working with a guy who talked about he likes to go quiet for a few days so that we can look like we're so that we can look important and look busy.
What?
Well, I fired him.
Absolutely. What in the hell? What in the hell?
Yeah, we don't do
No.
that in the government. So all that to say, the faster you respond to those emails, the more you're going to feel trusted. Here, let me explain. It doesn't make you desperate. It gives a sense of security to that contracting team. Because look, I get it. Some people feel like, well, isn't that a two-way street? Sometimes when we reach out to them, they don't reach back out to us that fast. Well, that's because one person's managing 50 damn projects.
And he got the bag. Don't be
And
arguing with
he
the
and he got
bag.
the bag. That's it. But here's what you're doing when you email them back, or let's say if I'm still sitting in the seat as a contracting officer, when you email me right back, you're giving me a sense of security. I know that when I reach out to this person, I'm going to get something back fast. So I'm scribbling. I'm making notes of this now,
Mm,
and all of the other people I talk to. Think about this. There's a part of the procurement process, the vetting process that we call gate check. That's when we're now looking at all of the people who bid it and all the people who made it, all the people who made it to the end, where we start saying these are our top two, top three bidders, right? Let's say if y'all all come in with the same certifications, same credentials, same qualifications, same everything, but one person responds within 24 hours, the other responds within 3 days. There are nothing that sets you and this other vendor apart with qualifications. Who the hell you think we choosing? We got
definitely not.
one last thing left now because y'all stack up all the way here. And guess what? That is justifiable by far as well.
And
We
I
can
think it's
we
go
can
ahead.
use you to beat out your competition just because you respond faster.
Now, if there's nothing else that you get out of that, and I will even say that there's been times where I missed something, and the
Hmm.
contracting officer reached out and was like, "Hey, I mean, one time I missed the whole signature document, which that's death. If you miss the
Hmm.
signature document, usually that means there's no contract for you. And I missed
Yep.
the whole document when I organized the whole thing. I don't know
Yep.
how the Lord, but I responded right away. She's like, Sheena, you forgot. I was like, oh, thank you so much. I was super humble. I was like, whatever you need me to do, boss. So it's like,
Yep.
what if I didn't respond? And then they just was like, well, she didn't respond and she didn't have that document. I'm going to the other person.
Yep.
So that's really, 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 really important. Really important.
Because remember, these COs are trying. These COs, they want to stay out of hot water, and they want to stay available to their executives who they have to answer to. So so when an incidental comes up in an agency, most incidentals are always tied to some project that's going on, which is tied to some contract. So if they know that they have this person, they have this vendor, or this prospective vendor who is moving that fast, they already know that this is going to help them. There's going to be a time where they need you to come through, especially if you're
Mhm.
the type of contractor, you're the type of company that has people on call throughout like during non-business hours.
Yeah.
We've had several situations like that where my executive calls me 7 o'clock at night on a Friday evening for for a question that it's not really in my power to answer. The actual company that we gave the contract to has to answer this question. And I was like, oh my goodness, I gotta call like three or four, I gotta call people's cell phones now. And whenever there was that person who was willing to answer at an 8 p.m., 7 p.m. on a Friday night, I'm gonna tell you this: there's certain things that you can't say out loud, but whenever there was lanyard money, whenever there was a way to make a change order to get them a little more money, we did it.
See, this is a people business, y'all. Like you and you have a need. Like the need is to get this organized, whether it's for you, whether it's for, whoever your clients are within that organization, and
Mm-hmm.
you have a need. So just like you have a need in your own house, you want the plumber that answers the phone. Don't get me started, because
That's
that,
right. And so
Lord have mercy.
and I'll leave y'all with this point on this one. Just put it this way: there is always a way for us to put together a memorandum of justification as to why this job could include more money. Hint, hint.
Oh,
In other words, we can, because of how you communicate, we can create some fluff and back it up by far to put more money in this contract.
how do I
In
ask?
layman's terms,
How do I ask you?
huh?
How do I ask you? I want to push that faster. Like, I've been responsible. What if you don't know? So how do I ask you? Hey, do you think there's any way that we can do this service for you? Like, is that how you ask for more money?
No. What you do is you say you tell them that you've identified
Ah,
you've identified some dysfunction or a gap in hole that was not that they didn't catch in the initial RFP.
for the change order. Gotcha. Because some people
Yep.
say
That
change
yeah
orders are
yeah.
a pain, but I guess it depends. If you're a good contractor, then I think
Hmm.
anybody's willing to kind of bend over backwards when someone is really a good worker for them, whether it's their
Yes.
own workers or someone you're hiring in your house or whatever. I think it's like people got to think they're so rigid with government contracting, which it is rigid. You can go to jail, but it's still a people business. Like,
It
do
is a
what's
people
right.
business.
Point blank period. Do what's right, and I think that will win every time. And document. Okay,
Yes.
document
Yes.
what's right.
Yes.
Because Lord
They
have
got to
mercy.
remember. They got to remember. Like you said, it's a people business, and people want to solve. They want to solve problems. They want
Yep,
problems off their desk.
correct. No, like, and trust. So we have wait a minute, we got some more money in the building. I feel like this is Players Club. Hold on. Wait a minute. They loving you, Derrick. Thank you so much, Tia,
I
for the super
appreciate that.
sticker.
Yes, Sheena,
Appreciate that.
We're gonna have to we have to put on some kind of conference in Atlanta or something where people come
Ooh,
out.
don't threaten me with a good time. I would love that. That's
Yeah,
what I like to do.
please give me an excuse to come to Atlanta.
Look,
I love
look,
it.
you think
I love
Houston is
Atlanta.
bad. You think Houston is bad. Atlanta, we call it home of the scammers. But we good over
Hmm.
here on this side. We good over here on this side.
I do love Houston, by the way. I do love Houston. I like Atlanta. I like Atlanta and Dallas a little more, but I still love Houston.
Dallas is an interesting place. Dallas is an
I,
interesting place. I like it too. I'm
yeah.
there usually 1 to 2 times a year. So
Yep.
D Blake said, first of all, thank you both for your service. Derrick, at any time, would you advise, whether personal or professional, someone that the contracting officer just might not be your thing? Like someone that contracting. Oh,
Goodbye.
meaning, okay, I'm guessing they mean where you would discover that I don't need to work in government contracting. I'm thinking that's what he means. I'm thinking.
Let me. I want to make. I don't. Yeah. I want to. Let me see if I
Elaborate
can
on that,
rephrase.
G. Yeah,
Yeah. Let me say. There, at any time, would you advise, whether personal or professionally, would you advise that someone just might not that someone would you advise someone that contracting just might not be your thing? Oh, I think I got it. I think I got that.
Okay, yeah.
Somebody who's looking for fast money.
Ooh, that's a fact. That's a fact. I've had
This
people tell me that they don't want to do it anymore after I talk to them.
Yeah, it's not a, and can and let me also add something to that though. I talk to people about this all the time. Look, the Gov GovCon is for people who want to build a skyscraper. It's not for people who want that's people who want to build a skyscraper, not open up a t-shirt stand.
Ooh, they do have t-shirt contracts though.
And they do have t-shirt contracts, by the way. By the way, and here's what I mean by that, right? Here's what I mean by that too, by the way, right? Um, they got t-shirt contracts, they got musician contracts, they got. I
Okay.
mean, as a matter of fact, I'm actually gonna put out a video of where I'm playing the piano, and it's gonna have people. and it's going to say if you're interested in musician, you can get a contract as a musician.
I don't know if Ivan is on, but I do Weird Contract Wednesdays, so I don't know if
That's
Ivan is still on, but Ivan is a musician, and I found a federal contract, which is usually they'll mostly be on the local side, but it was for drummers, and that's what he does, and he did it. He was in the Army band, and I was like, oh, I found something for you finally, you know what I mean? So I don't know if he's still on, but like I don't know if you got a chance to look at it, but they have everything, every possible.
Yes, they do.
So y'all check out his video and Weird Contract Wednesdays on my channel.
Yeah, cool. but what I say is people who just want a quick money grab. This is what I want to say. I really want people to look at the value of how government contracting can help you secure generational wealth.
Yes, Lord. That's a fact.
If you have a little patience, you can be a millionaire within a couple of years.
And if you watch my channel, my friend Stephanie, that I got into government contracting, she made $1 million in 10 months.
Exactly. Faster. I was being modest based on what kind of contract you do,
Right.
And it's one of the quickest pathways to being a millionaire if you are patient enough to learn compliance.
Yeah. And it's all written out. How many businesses?
You're just copying what's there.
If y'all need to drop the type of businesses you've been in. If you've been in the MLM, I've had so many businesses. I started business at the age of 12. And this is one of the only things, besides you buying a course or something like that, paying for a class, is free. Like I bought many properties and spent tens of thousands of dollars. And I probably at the end of all of it, it ended up being just even. After several years, you forget the money because even if you get 100,000 back, you probably spent 200,000 over time, just not even thinking about a nickel and diamond. But like, this is one of the only things you could do that's free, but it takes your time and that's it. Everything is pretty much free. And you can scale, just like you said, generational wealth. If that's what you choose, build a business to sell. You become a big business overnight. I opened my bank account with my first check. I didn't even have a bank account yet. I did it all wrong, but I'm just saying, like $70,000 check. Hey, I would like to open up a bank account, and they about to call the police on me. Like it's really that it can happen that quick. So this is hands down. Everything else that y'all try to learn, MLMs and all this other scammy stuff, is a lot harder than this because this is already written out. They're telling you exactly what they need. It's in black and white. Just damn do it. Ooh.
Okay. That's it. So we gotta get. Yep. That's it. It's all they have to do. Stop. Look, man. Stop real surfing and actually and sit down and learn something that requires you to sit in one place to sit still for 45 minutes or a couple hours. That's how you move from the 99% to the 1%.
That's a fact. And then, some of us still work a full-time job, whatever. And you like, I really don't have the time. We make time for what we want. But then on top of that, my daughter worked for me when she was 14. And I've told the story many times. She just filled out. I gave her all the preliminaries. She filled out all the stuff. And I did the technical stuff or the things that took me a little longer. It's hard for me to do anything super redundant. So that's where I failed because I wouldn't do contract because I knew I had to fill in the name and the email address and over and over and over on 1,000 documents. And I just wanted to just pluck both eyeballs out. But I'm like, okay, what can I do? I ain't got a whole lot of money. My daughter did charge me, but not a lot. She was 14. One of the best employees I've ever had still to this day. She just did it. That was it. So here's the stuff. And my money, please. So you can find ways to make it work if you don't have, you're not good with time management, whatever those things are going to make you, they're going to let you know if you can do this too. Because if you're not able to read, you don't want to read, you don't even want to use ChatGPT, you don't want to do nothing, you just want to get the money, then this might not be the avenue for you. Truly.
That's right.
You think I'm mean? People think I'm mean and I'm rude. I had a contracting officer cuss me out in front of my mama. I had him on speakerphone. I had to bleep, bleep, bleep. And it wasn't even my fault what happened. It was saying working with subcontractors you don't know. That's why I started laughing because it wasn't even my workers. It was another subcontractor's workers that messed up and he cussed me out in front of my mama. He don't care. So it's like, you think I'm mean? Wait till these people got $3 million coming your way and you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Okay, that's a whole
Yeah.
different conversation you're gonna have to have. Okay, stepping off the soapbox again. So Tia 5364 said, I want a contract during the government shutdown. Congratulations, girl. Gotta get you on the channel. I had a contracting officer that I previously worked with reach out to me and ask for a quote for catering services. That's what I'm talking about. We ended up winning that. That's what she was ready. She was at the ready. She didn't say, oh, the government shut down, I'm just gonna turn off my emails. People will say stuff like that. No, you gotta always be ready. I love that. Okay, so we have is it Kuma 6AI? What is the importance of FedMall as for dibs dealer? I don't really work with dibs. I had Day on my channel a few times. He does dibs and DLA, but are you familiar with dibs or work with it or anything?
What's the importance of FedMall? I'll be honest. If you're talking about, if we're talking, I don't work with it, but I haven't worked with it. But when I look at FedMall, right, I think about, like, it makes me think of like FedBizOps and all of the other platforms that are out there.
That are old.
Yeah. Look, the government really is pushing getting away from anything that is not streamlined through SAM.gov.
Okay, well, let me see how many questions we got because I want to.
They're pushing. They're really pushing that hard.
I mean, SAM is really it. When you go to FedBizOps, it routes you to SAM. So anybody that, even if you go there, it's almost like there's some people that are like, what the hell is that? Because they came in after the fact. So who is it? Thank you so much. She's in tech. Awesome. Yes, girl, come on out if we do a conference. Come on out. Yeah. Hang out with us. I might go to Houston. I ain't never been to Houston. So
really? Really? Wow.
It's one of those things where it's like, don't crucify me. Yeah. I know I've been. I need to come out and see what y'all talking about. Tia said, I have to go back and watch the whole video again. Take notes. Yes, please. Shonda, shout out to Shonda. She is our student and she was also our GovCon agency sweet client. She is a mover and shaker. Love Shonda. Had to catch the replay. Yes, please. And Ivan is here. Ivan, did you bid on that contract for the drummers? Seeking it out and getting some more info. Good. Yolanda, non-emergency transportation services. Love it. Okay. I want to talk about GSA schedule. So is that a part of the streamline from your lens? People are like, why are you not on the GSA schedule yet? And then it's like, well, I've been on the GSA schedule since the 80s and I've never won anything. Or is it better now than it was before? Just give us the rundown.
GSA, they're actually getting much better with that. The GSA schedule is now getting to the point where if you can get a GSA schedule, right? If you can get a GSA schedule, it's really worth it because they really are moving towards making sure everyone on there get attention. They're basically making it to where the GSA schedule is their official co-op. It's like their official e-buy or buy board. It's that so. It was always supposed to be that. It just wasn't functioning that way. They were still playing favorites, but now they really are making sure that the people on those schedules are actually getting that attention they need, and the way they're doing that is through restructuring the agencies restructuring the regulations and the policies within the agencies. What they're basically saying is that if, for example, we automatically know, I'm gonna go back to like Uline and all these people, right? We already know that those people are going to have GSA schedules because of how long they've been in the game, how big they are, and their capacity. But and so the reason why they're restructuring and they're making this part of the FAR over, they're actually including this in the FAR overhaul. The government is actually starting to struggle with them not going to a lot of the smaller and newer businesses on the GSA schedules. The government is realizing that they can get things faster, and the Trump administration, that's their thing, speed. So that being said, and make sure I send this to you, Sheena. I actually have about probably 3 or 4 emails from direct sources that actually talks about this specifically.
Send Send
Yes,
it,
yeah,
please.
yeah,
Yes, we could do
yeah,
a part two. No problem.
yeah, yeah. So just to speak to that, the GSA schedules is going to become much more important and significant for the smaller businesses and the new business, the newer businesses that's being added. Why? Because the government needs it, and the government and what's happening is there's a lot more accountability coming to the agencies now. It's not this thing. Whereas you know what, we got old Billy John over here. He's been the guy who gives us, cows and horseshoes whenever we need them. We don't care if it takes old Billy John 5 months to replenish when he runs out. We're not going to Sheena. We like Billy John's horseshoes because we like Billy John better. No, the agency, they're not playing that game no more. The agency, when they need more horseshoes, they're gonna if they need 5,000 and it takes them coming to if they need 5,000 by next week, and the only way they can do that is by going to 10 different people on that schedule. That's what they're gonna do now. They're not
Okay,
gonna wait
that's
to
good to
Billy
know
John.
too. Okay,
Yeah.
that compared to a contract. I'm sorry, my dog decided to participate.
Mm.
So that is even better when it comes to like on SAM.gov, where it's one big contract and they're likely most of the time. Sometimes they'll say multiple vendors, but most of the time it'll be just one, right? Almost like the lottery. So
Yep.
if we're talking about GSA schedule, then you're almost more likely to be able to, be one of few, but you're still getting the work, like you're getting consistent opportunities. So okay,
Yep.
I'm
Because
still gonna
because
wrap my head
because
around
right
it.
because right now they're all about get the government is moving to a hey, we just need what we need.
Right, right.
We need
Okay, so
we need if we need it now, we need it now. And so the good thing is that speed that Eric Coffey talks about, that's overriding a lot of the gatekeep what we perceive as gatekeeping.
very cool. Okay, so
Yeah.
with can you talk about ID contracts? Do you know what that is?
IDIQs.
Maybe it must be. So let elaborate on that, Kumo. Are you talking
Um
about IDIQ? Because I'm
like the
familiar.
IDIQ, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity.
Yeah, because a lot, and so speaking of which, I tell people that you can be awarded an IDIQ contract and never execute. And so
Mm-hmm.
when some of these people on the interwebs, they're like, I want $1 billion contract. I'm like, okay, let's pick this apart a little bit. Okay, you're probably one of 10,000 or more. You could be
Yeah.
one of 1,000,000. You talk about
Mm-hmm.
$1 billion contract, and then you may not ever execute. But people still count it, right? Because you still put it on your resume that you awarded $1 billion
Yep.
contract,
Yep. Past performance.
and
Yep.
it sounds so sexy, but you may
It
not
does.
ever get one singular dollar out of that. So I'm guessing that's what you're talking about, Kumo. But yeah, that's one of the things. And shout out to Parrish Morris. He was my mentor way back a government
Everything
contractor.
is
He's been in
new.
the
Hard
game,
reset for procurement. Yes, sir. Yes,
been
sir.
around for a
I have a couple. I have a couple procurement mentors who was in the game like over 40 years. Yep. Everything is new. Hard reset. Yep.
I'm just getting started and I need to save money. Busy gave me the best service for the best price.
As a freelancer, the $0 startup cost.
Yes.